This is DJ Morena Libre. You are tuned in to Radio Feminista, straight from the UTRGV Brownsville campus. It is it's Thursday, December 4th. You're tuning in at 2 p.m. I am flying solo today. This is the last week of the show for this semester. We will be returning back next semester. But this is the last show. It's been a busy semester, so today I just want to chill out, relax with you all, listen to some music. I'm going to read you a quote from Calling In, a book by Loretta Ross. And we're just going to be listening to some cool music from the collection, from the Vaquero radio collection. Right now, I am going to play Hit Me With Your Best Shot, and then we're going to come back and listen to a little bit of Loretta Ross. And here is Pat Benatar. That was Pat Benatar. Hit Me With Your Best Shot. Thank you for those of you who are tuning in. You are listening to Radio Feminista and from the UTRGV Brownsville campus. Again, this is our last show for the semester. It's been a very busy semester, although I have been saying that since 2004, since I came back to higher ed. They don't seem to wind down, and nor do they live out the semester, or we don't live out the semester as neatly as they appear on our academic calendars. They always tend to be ambitious, messy, and overcommitted, and also, well, underpaid. We are the exhausted academics over here. This semester, though, I did return to the hardworking Vaquero Radio, part of the UTRGV student media, which is a gem. If you don't know about it, I encourage you to learn more about the student media here at UTRGV, the program. It is, like I said, a gem. They continue to train our students in such a historical, critical, and crucial form of media, which is the radio, along with many other TV, print, magazine. It's a well rounded student media program. As our students move on and they become, the wonderful professionals that we all know they will become, this is a very strong foundation for them. So I do, as I go through the show and I'm kind of reflecting on this return and also on everything that's been happening, not just here in Bronzeville, or with UTRGV community, but also in the U.S. and globally. I do want to ground myself right now and just give a shout out to the to one, I'm going to start out with Vaquero Radio and student media, but I want to start with Azanet Cornejo. She was the former and the legacy UT Bronzeville director of student media for a very long time. She led this student media. I want to call it a program, but I may be misnaming that. But she did a wonderful job. Very dedicated, very committed. She has now retired. So a shout out to Zanette, whatever she's doing. Hopefully she's enjoying playing pickleball somewhere in Bronzeville. So I hope I run into her soon. And then I also shout out to our current interim director, Jesus Sanchez, who is also awesome and supportive. He was mentored for a very long time by Azanet, and he is now leading the way. Very proud of him and also incredibly supportive. So if you have not met Jesus, please make the time to reach out to him and meet him. Also, I want to shout out to Dr. Robert Velez. He's the Vaquero Radio faculty advisor, and he's awesome. He's taken students to competition, and he, trains them, advises them, helps them out. So shout out to him. And then he also has a show on Fridays, the office hour. So we, listen in, tune in on Fridays in the morning. And then also I want to shout out, of course, to Ariana Gallardo, who is our our student, our actually our media, our current Vaquero Radio student studio manager. So shout out to her. This she's been, I believe, this is her. I think she's starting her third year. Ariana, I'm sorry if I'm missing out on the dates, but I know you've been here, and this is your first time as a as the our manager. So congratulations, and you are doing a wonderful job. Thank you. Okay. So I know I'm missing a bunch of other names and shout outs. We have Vaquero Radio has reporters on the ground, and we also have a coordinator. So please, whenever you get a chance, get on the web and search up Vaquero Radio, and find out who is playing, and everything that they have programmed for you, for students, for the community here in at UTRGV. So thank you. I'm gonna play a little bit of more music because this is one of those days where I woke up. It's been a busy week. I know everybody is trying to get, work in, projects, studying for finals, talking to professors, reaching out, trying to reach out and make sure professors are doing what they need to do, also reaching out to see if you can make up work. Like, it's just so much is going on. Emotions are at their peak. So I just want to remind everyone to please take care of themselves this week, next week, and be compassionate towards each other and towards everyone around you, because this is we're winding down. This is it. This is when we need to make sure that everything gets done. We're checking off tasks. So please know that everyone is tired. Everyone wants the best for everyone. And then we're going to be enjoying some chocolatito or some champurrado or, some tamalitos or something in a few weeks, with family, with friends, with our communities. So please be gentle with each other, be gentle with yourself, and it just, do your best. We this has been a very, very long semester and very busy one. A lot of things going on, not just within the community, this community, but just, in general, globally, and nationally. There is so much going on. We are in very difficult and challenging times, for everyone, but especially our most vulnerable, right? So we have been witnessing um, raids, we have been witnessing, snatchings. People have been snatched left and right by police, by the police state, right? We don't know who they are. They claim to be ICE, they claim to be other law enforcement, but we don't really know who they are when they cover their faces and when they don't show badges and they don't provide any type of documentation, right? So witnessing all that is really difficult for us, and very difficult to talk about. So, especially when we are being censored, we can't really voice. Especially in particular spaces when historically we were able to and now we can't, or we're slowly being censored, so that we don't voice our concerns, our issues. We don't demonstrate or voice our resistance towards what's happening to our most vulnerable. um, there's more that has been happening. It hasn't just been the our sisters and brothers who are being snatched. There are many other policies that are coming down the road, and have already been implemented, laws that are harming so many others in our communities. So it's been a difficult semester. It's been a difficult year, right? 2025. I'm not just talking about what happened, what's happening um this semester, this fall, but what's been happening all year. So it seems that we didn't really learn our lessons during COVID, when we were shut down and we had time to reflect as a global community, as in a local community. It seems like things just went on steroids, right? And just kind of started getting worse and worse. There is a term that, and I think all this started happening, at least in my memory. Um, these, draconian policies started really happening, have been happening for a while for many communities, right? But I think in the national stage, we started seeing this right after President Obama, even though, he has his issues during his tenure that has have been affecting us ever since. But there's a term within ethnic studies that's called a white lash, right? Which is, you there whenever there's a period of progressive policies being pushed out, and uh, equity is being laid out as a foundation. There is a backlash, right, from the white community nationally that starts to undo everything that had been done. And that's kind of the period we've been living in since President Obama, or after his presidency. So I just want to point that academic term out. So for those of you, so if you want to go do some research and find out, what has happened, you can go even further back, right, to the civil rights and post civil rights to understand where that term is coming from. So I'm going to play Sade. So smooth operator, I want to take a little music break so you can unwind a little bit more. When we come back, I'm going to read a little bit of this new book that Dr. Loretta Ross has put out, and I'll give you her bio. She's a wonderful activist, a wonderful feminist. She coined the term reproductive justice. I've met her. I just saw her at NWSA this a few weeks ago, and she's somebody that we all should be learning from and listening to, because she's done quite a bit of groundwork, feminist groundwork, and in her new book is really important, especially during these times when we need more dialogue, we need more conversation, we need to be bridging each other, instead of breaking or creating more borders amongst each other. And there's a reason why, right? There's a reason why that she talks about this in her book. There's a reason why we need to be calling each other in instead of calling each other out. But I'll give you more context when we come back. Right now, let's listen to Smooth Operator. Okay, we are back. And as promised, I am going to read from Loretta Ross's Calling In, and it's calling in how to start making change with those you'd rather cancel. Again, let me tell you a little bit about Loretta Ross. She is an activist, a professor, and a public intellectual. In her 5 decades, that's a long time, right? In 5 decades in the human rights movement, she's deprogrammed white supremacists, taught convicted rapists the principles of feminism, and organized the 2004 March for Women's Lives, which surpassed only by the 2017 Women's March at the largest march on Washington, D.C. She is a co founder of the National Center for Human Rights Education and the sister song Women of Color Reproductive Justice Collective. Ross has received many accolades and honors, including a 2022 MacArthur Fellowship and a 2024 induction into the National Women's Hall of Fame. Today, Ross is an associate professor at Smith College in Northampton, Massachusetts, and a partner with the consulting firm 14th Strategies, with which she runs calling in training sessions at organizations around the country. I recommend you go into her website. It's www.lorettajross.com. She is someone I look up to. I look to as well for her writing and for her activism in different areas of feminism. She's wonderful to talk to as well or listen to. There are plenty of videos of her talking and sharing knowledge on YouTube. So I recommend that you take some time to learn about her and from her. I'm going to read a little bit or just a quote from her prologue from the book, again, Calling In How to Start Making Change with Those You've Rather Cancel. And I'm going to start. I know the allure of calling people out all too well. I've scorched others with righteous anger, and I've been burned by my ego. I have to trap words in my brain before they come out of my mouth a dozen times a day because I know it's better if I do. I've seen families torn apart over political differences because they don't know how to love each other despite their disagreements. I've been part of movements that have disintegrated due to their inability to distinguish between allies and enemies. I've seen how a movement or a moment of opportunity can slip away while we're caught up in morality plays or power fights. And I see the warning signs right now for progressives and our country as a whole. Bitter partisanship has caused many of us to hate fellow Americans. It's made people afraid to build community. It's divided families. Almost everyone is anxious for fear of saying the wrong thing. People are distancing themselves and suffering emotionally, powerless to do anything about geopolitical conflicts. We turn on family and friends. Anyone who thinks this is okay doesn't care about our country and doesn't care about honesty, integrity, or mercy. These are perhaps old fashioned terms, but they matter to me and they should matter to all of us. I have no interest in respectability politics, no interest in being polite and uncontroversial in the hope of gaining others' approval, but I am interested in living out my values. I get why it can be easy to forget all this. We are sensitive to our despair and the despair of others. We're all struggling to make sense of everything that is going on. We refuse to accept the status quo that judges us because of our skin color, sexual orientation, gender identity, class, citizenship, abilities, political affiliation, or any other infuriating, irrelevant reason. We witness our loved ones pulling in a different direction in ways that often don't make sense to us. We yearn to be part of something bigger than ourselves, something that gives our life meaning. But it is not enough to be correct. We must take action. People opposed to human rights, opposed to ending poverty, addressing racism, or accepting women's rights to control their bodies, think they're fighting the human rights movement. But I believe they're wrong. They're fighting truth, history, and evidence. Most importantly, they're fighting time. These existential forces are beyond their power to command. With truth, history, evidence, and time on our side, we hold the winning hand despite our fears of powerlessness and failure. Our opponents are simply pimples on the ass of time. But my biggest fear is that despite our winning hand, we'll be defeated, at least in our lifetimes, because we can't stop calling one another out. I've learned that there is a better way. We can skip the viral shaming and reputable warfare. We can skip the ideological litmus test that don't help to build a diverse coalition. Whether persuading another individual or launching an entire cultural movement, real change requires bringing people in, even people you expected not to need or not to be able to reach. This is why I've come to embrace calling in. Calling in considers whether we connect with others before we start shouting them down. It allows us to reach other people as people, to breathe a little easier, and to ultimately to get things done. Calling in builds bridges instead of burning them down so that we might walk together along the path toward collective liberation. The difference is tactical. And so I'll suggest new words, methods, and attitudes throughout this book, but it's also philosophical. Calling in can help us model the world we want to achieve at the end of our efforts. A world with more joy and forgiveness and less shame and cruelty. A world where people don't need to feel afraid and can feel empowered to pursue the common good, even if we make mistakes along the way. We can avoid the shame of not being enough or not knowing enough. I'll stop there. I thought that would be a great way or a great quote for us to think through as the year ends, as we reflect on 2025, as we approach these days when we're going to be surrounded by people hopefully we love, and hopefully we have learned over time to be part of our communities. But calling in for me was when I first came across her talk on calling in, and then also with this recent book that she just came out with. Calling in has been, I think, something I've always taken from the feminist movement in my studies of feminism. It has always been an understanding of knowing our histories, not only our own history, especially our own histories, right? But also learning the histories of our sisters across differences, and to build bridges, right, across our differences instead of what we have learned and what we have been taught through schooling and through society at large, that our differences are dangerous or problematic, and we should be opposing differences. In within the feminist movement, and especially the women of color movement, it's been about understanding our differences, right? Building bridges across those differences instead of seeing them as oppositional to who we are. We should really be learning about them and having conversation. So calling each other in. Also, I think what she's referencing though specifically is calling in people you would not normally be calling in, right? And that's where I think her call is a tall order for us. But it's possible, right? I think many of us we would navigate through life. We walk through different paths and we meet people we may not always agree with, or may not always, see eye to eye. But I think we can all have sat across the table and broken bread with people who can, have these conversations and understand and accept that, maybe we might not agree here, but we may find some common ground over here. And just do the work, right? The work that needs to be done to dismantle many of the things, many of the policies, the norms, the beliefs that have kept many of us still in a position of being oppressed, right? So with that, I invite you to read Loretta Ross. The book is called Calling In: How to Start Making Change with Those You'd Rather Cancel. And then now I'm just going to continue with our music from our Vaquero Radio collection. And I'm going to continue with Annie Lennox. I Put a Spell on You. Thanks for listening and tuning in. This is DJ Morena Libre. You are tuned in to Radio Feminista. So I wanted to take a few minutes and share with you some events that are happening, are going to be happening soon, but also throughout the break. So I just want to shout out to some of these organizations that are doing a lot of work. If you follow me on Radio Feminista, if you don't, at Radio Feminista on Instagram, you can find, I repost a lot of the events from community organizations and community members that are doing quite a bit of work. Shout out to all of them for the incredible work that they do to bring attention to their causes and to our community causes, right? So, if you all are not aware of the, let's see, RGV Queer, I think it's the, let's see, let me make sure I get the name correct. Danny Marrero is the one that puts these out, but the RGV Queer Run Club, right? It's at rgv.queer run club. They're having some socials, so I will, go look at their Instagram page that you can find out. I believe they're having a social with Cactus Valley Art, and that's at Cactus Valley Art. It's on 1218, and this is particularly for the queer community here in the RGV. There is also another event for the queer community at South Texas through the South Texas Equality Project, and you can also find them on Instagram at South Texas Equality Project, and they're having a queer posada on 1218 in Harlingen. So those are just some of the events through them. The Environmental Awareness Club, if you are not familiar with them, I encourage you to please, if you're a student, reach out to them, join the club. They are doing wonderful work, have been since I've been here at UTRGV and probably even before. But they run different campaigns throughout the semester, and they do a lot of community outreach and community support. On December 5th, oh, and they also have their farmers markets here, both in Edinburgh and in Bronzeville, and they've been doing a lot of incredible legwork to be present in Bronzeville, and they've been doing an incredible job at that. On December 5th, they're going to be supporting the Tamaulipan thorn scrub habitat restoration. And again, I have it reposted in Instagram. But if their tag, let's see, on Instagram, they are the Environmental Awareness Club, EAC underscore RGV. So if you want to go check them out, they're always posting their events. Another organization that you should a student organization that you should keep an eye on as well and join, help out, volunteer is the if so utrgv there. That's their Instagram tag. It's at ifso.utrgv, and they're the intersectional feminist student organization. They just had a meeting, but reach out to them to help them out and support. They are running the end period poverty. We had Kylie over in the show this semester, and she talked about that movement, and she needs support. She needs volunteers to distribute poverty items, sorry, period items to the different bathrooms, and just to find out how they're doing, and how where you can support them. Maybe they need help in other areas, but it would be that's a great organization to be involved with. I also encourage you to keep an eye out, if you're not already, the South Texas Environmental Justice Network. They are a very active and important group here in. They're located in Bronzeville, but they are really looking across the entire region at some of the environmental issues going on, particularly through what SpaceX is doing, through the launches, and the abuse of power that they've brought down to our region, especially to the Boca Chica area. Okay. Whichever way you feel about SpaceX or what they do, maybe you have a family member that works with them, maybe you have a relative, right, that works with them, a friend. It doesn't matter. You should still know and be aware about what they are doing, environment, how they're affecting us. environmentally and in economically here in the region. You do need to be informed, regardless of what your position is or your relation is to SpaceX. And they would be a great group to get information about what is going on because they are staying informed and they disseminate a lot of information that normally we wouldn't be, that you or I, right, wouldn't be able to go and access because, we're busy or we're doing other things. That is what they are doing. They're bringing awareness to these issues and bringing them to the forefront when no one else is. They're also looking at the at LNG, right? That massive, massive construction that's happening right now, and how transporting or creating pipelines to our region can impact our health as well and our environment. You can already see the impact as you drive down to, if you're going, like, I'm from Bronzeville, so I'm driving down to go to Port Isabel, or Laguna Vista or the island. And there's this massive construction when it used to be beautiful wildlife, beautiful wildlife area there. It is now, it's actually getting more dangerous because it's harder to drive. People are driving really, there's already been accidents, there's already been deaths down that road because of this new construction. And there is an increase of roadkill as well, which there is also an increase of roadkill and accidents in the going towards Boca Chica Beach as well. So these are things that, we need to be discussing. And this is the group that is having those difficult conversations and bringing awareness and doing the difficult work of going out there and doing documenting this, right? Because it needs to be documented, and it also needs to be taken up to policymakers so that they're aware of what is happening, because otherwise it wouldn't be happening. Um, so that's another group that you should keep an eye on. There's also going to be a Noche de Lumbre winter solstice dance and exhibition, and this is being put together by Voces Unidas. In their Instagram pages, Voces Unidas RGV. So keep an eye out for them as well. Again, I put all these announcements, or I repost them on my Instagram, which is at Radio Feminista, if you want to go in there and check them out. Again, this is our last show for the semester. We're winding down. We are getting ready to wrap up the semester. I my my Let me see. My last class is tomorrow. My last face to face, and then I'll just be grading while my students turn in all their projects and assignments. And I try and work with my students who are missing stuff and trying to get them caught up and help them out. And like I said, I hope everyone is being gentle and compassionate towards each other as these next few days and weeks, start being more demanding of our time and our schedules. We had a wonderful semester and program. Radio Feminista was able to bring El Doctor Jose Luis Cano. He talked about his muñequitas, las lloronas. We talked about our mothers. We laughed. We had a great show. We also brought in Kylie Torres with If So to talk about the end period poverty movement that she has launched here on campus, and all the work and groundwork that she does to make sure that there are period products out there for bodies, right, who are menstruating, and then also some of the hurdles that she has encountered here in the campus communities in trying to accomplish that. But we do thank her for the work that she is doing, and she needs to be acknowledged for that, and the organization as well, and all the volunteers that do all that work. Um, we also had Lucas Belleri, who came and talked to us about preparedness, about flooding, and the work that he did with community organizations to highlight the vulnerability, right, and to create the app to be able to for communities to be able to use, doing a lot of community-based work. We wish him well, and I know he's already gone. I believe he went back to Arizona. So we wish him well, and hopefully he'll come back and share more of his work when he's around. Um, and then we had Rocio Hernandez, wonderful conversation about mothering, about schooling, about dreaming up a whole other world, right? And about time. She is a dear friend, and it was lovely to sit down with her and have a great conversation about life. Um, and for you all to be able to listen to that and for it to be documented now with Radio Feminista, I'm really privileged to know all these people. And then we had La Doctora Stephanie Alvarez, who is currently her along with a collective are trying to save the San Juan Hotel and create a civil rights museum, which would be incredibly important and a big deal for our region. Because one, we lack those across the South. To be honest with you, there are some wonderful civil rights museums across or peppered across the South, but we need more. We need more that are concentrating on particular areas, and that would be amazing to have one here that focuses on that. But also join the cause of trying to save or of saving the San Juan Hotel because reach out to them. They have a wonderful museum right next to the building, and it's full of knowledge. You need to stop by and visit. Right now I believe they're going to be open until January, but reach out to them to you can look them up at Museo 956 or at Save the San Juan Hotel as well, because it's a really important cause that is it's been going on for a while. They just didn't appear out of nowhere. They've been doing a lot of groundwork to get to where they're at right now. So but they still need more help. They need volunteers and they need more resources. So if you have an expertise where you can help out, please reach out to them so that you can be able to support their work. It's really important, and in the long run, and just thinking about the future and having um, a museum here with our local history would be, and then having it, in by a collective that are local experts, right? Who know and who can go out and do more research and ask more questions and get more history about our community would be really important. We will have all these interviews um, available soon. They'll be available through YouTube so that you can listen to them. Once they're out, I will make sure and notify the community. We're also going to be archiving these in a digital repository where they'll be available for you to listen through the library, and it's going to be an open access. So just stay tuned for that. Hopefully, we'll get that done in over the break, or and then have them issue over time, right? Like just we'll be releasing them. Um, I am just trying to get all these interviews up and available so that they can be listened, and because there are some wonderful histories documented here at Radio Feminista and previously La Hora Feminista. So thank you. I want to wish everyone a wonderful Christmas and a happy new year. Wish everyone a wonderful end of their semester. For everyone, for staff, for students, for faculty, all our community to please take care of yourselves, get some rest, and enjoy the holidays. And we will be back January 22nd for our next semester. That's when it begins, and stay tuned through social media at Radio Feminista and Vaquero Radio to keep an eye out for our next show and our next schedule for spring 2026. Everybody, again, Merry Christmas, Feliz Navidad, and Feliz Año Nuevo. Enjoy the holidays, in whatever form it comes for you. The most important thing for you to get some rest and relax, okay, with people you love. Okay, so I'm gonna end the show. I'm gonna end the season, fall 2025, with some Shakira. Okay, everyone, see you, and yeah, see you.